And it's Emma from Misfit Gardening, and I promised you guys a mapping video, and this is the little section that I'm designing on. So this is actually an image taken from Google Maps, and it's very outdated now. We obviously have a fence that's going across here, and then we've got the small semi-private fence up to here. This is just kind of a close-up of the area. I did try doing the distance measuring with Google Maps. Didn't really work very well since it's telling me it's like 92 feet, but I think that's the distance from all the way through. And when I actually measured the property on my last video, I didn't account for this bit here, and the reason for that is this is an access route where this the end of the previous owner's trailer is just right here. That's now a double gate to be going in and out of. So I'm leaving this is currently used as kind of a vehicle parking and an access route, so I didn't account for that. So this is actually a little bit smaller. If I just flip up to the slightly bigger picture from Google Earth, this again is quite out of date. I mean, this is how I think this was way before I bought the property, because the garden didn't look like this when I bought the house. The peach trees there, super tiny, and they had actually some other trees in here which you can't see. This is all grass still. These trees are a lot bigger now. This tree is bigger now. But the great thing that I love about this view is I can see where the problems are with water already. So like all this parking strip, problems with water. Here in the middle, problems with water. All dry here and here, and the same thing up here on the access. Around on the verges and stuff for the parking strips. So you know, that's very true of what I see today. There's not a lot of difference, but now the privacy fence is in. This bit here actually has a bit more moisture because it's shaded. You know, this area up here is a new pumpkin patch, and this bit right here is where that fancy schmancy new greenhouse is. So there's a bit of difference, but not a lot. So I will show you what I did next. Okay, so the next thing that I did was I drafted out a rough base map just on some graph paper. And all I'm really doing at this point is I'm just kind of, you know, plotting in where some of the features are. I know this is north, I've not marked it on here, but I did put in where the driveway was, the vehicle parking access, where the new gate is. And I just put some extra notes on here. So it's 33 feet by 26 feet. We've got a 3-foot tall semi-private fence, so it's that slatted smaller fence, and then we've got the full vinyl privacy fence on the top, and of course the sidewalk. So based on some of the observations that I made, I actually did a couple of maps, and I'll show you this one first. This was really kind of a colourful brain dump for me. Of kind of just what's going on this land. I'll pop that down, it doesn't want to stay up. So, you know, by the sidewalk, the inevitable dog pee zone. We've also got where the vehicle's going to be parked. There's actually a potential for, you know, manky stuff off the vehicles, you know, salt, all that kind of stuff coming through. You know, where the gate's going to need to open. Spring and summer prevailing winds, where are the winter winds coming from? For me, it's coming from the north. You know, we've got this big old neighbour view area, and if I just flip back to here, this is a really technical video, I apologise profusely. I do need to get the hang of another software, but this here's the neighbour's concrete drive, and it's actually elevated, so it's sloping up. So when the neighbours are kind of coming up, parking the vehicles and, you know, the recreation vehicles and stuff like that, there's a lot of noise and a lot of overlooking and stuff over onto here. And, you know, they can also kind of see over the fence and stuff. And, you know, when you're chilling out in the hot tub, the last thing you want is all the neighbours looking at you. So just kind of generally across all of here, I'm wanting to do some level of screening. So what that looked like on here was me kind of putting in, you know, the neighbours have basically got a view through into here, and that's something that, you know, I'm going to want to change. I've got my wet area from where the sprinklers are working, and then the majority of the dry areas. Early sun hits through here and it gets quite hot until sort of in the afternoon when the sun's passing back over the fence and it's going to start putting the stuff in shade. So that was kind of just a really draft, you know, what I saw and putting it onto some paper so I didn't forget. Oops. I'm overrun with bits of paper. I went with the old-fashioned tracing paper option just because it worked a little bit better for me. And I got to use some crayons, so I felt at least 20 years younger. But again, all I did here was I just took the same thing and I mapped out where the summer sun goes and sets, where the winter sun comes around, how far, you know, between it rising and setting. It's obviously much shorter. You know, again, same thing here. We've got potential pollutant runoff. You know, we've got the access that's needed for the gate. So it's on the base map. We've got the gate on here where the winter wind's coming in. You know, some of the privacy that's needed. You know, winter winds and things coming in. So I've tried to keep this, you know, relatively simple to look at. So, you know, inevitably there's going to be another overlay. And I've just sent all this to my my teacher to see what her thoughts are on this. So that was the other thing. And finally, I did another map, which was really the zone. And if I take that one away, it might be a little bit easier. Line it up again. So here we've got zone 1, and the reason why it's zone 1 is because there's daily parking and access that's needed to this area. You know, either my husband or my stepson's vehicle is parked here, and then mine will be in the driveway. So there's always a vehicle needing access pretty much every single day. So that puts it as zone 1. This area itself, I actually feel is a zone 5. It's not something that we really go to at all. In fact, you know, since the grass kind of died off on it, you know, we didn't even visit it to cut the grass or anything. So, you know, for me, it was a zone 5, and that's kind of a natural sort of forest system, which ties in very much with what I would like to do with the property or that area. So there's just my initial maps, and for me, I'm doing it on just some parchment paper. Really just because it gives me flexibility of being able to put maps on top of another, and I can sort of position where things want to go a bit better. I can overlay different ideas and change elements around when I get into the actual designing piece. So that's what works well for me. I know other people who do, you know, stuff online with different you know, tools that are available for there, but I don't know, I kind of like the old school option, and I feel that, you know, sometimes there's, you know, maybe elements that you'll forget or you'll put to one side because it doesn't necessarily work, but they may be something that you can go back to later. But that's just my opinion. So I will let you know what my teacher thinks in the next video. So until next time, I'm Emma from Misfit Gardening. Have a great night. Bye bye.